Hey, what's up, Leron here. Let's draw this quince tree. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. We're going to start with the sketch. Now, this video is going to show you how to handle edges to your advantage in watercolor. I do want to focus on one specific topic with this one, and I think edges, and hopefully you can hear me well, will be a good one because a lot of people struggle with them, and there are actually a few tricks almost, technical tricks that is, that you can use to make your life a little easier. So here is our focal point. Hopefully you can see it well. There we go. Now, I'm going to base everything around that. That is actually the most important part here. I'm going to add a few of the leaves around it, but we will not get too caught up on these details, actually. I find, for me personally, it's sometimes very beneficial to almost have a narrow focus on one element within the scene that I feel like I can grab its essence and almost let the rest fall into place based on that one element that I am focusing on and in relations to that one element I am focusing on. So let me show you how edges go into play here. It's very simple. What we have to be aware of is the light and shadow on the quince, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, on the lemon-like fruit that we're looking at here. And what you'll notice, if we follow the edges closely, is we have a shadow being cast by that leaf. That's a hard shadow, following the shape of the leaf. And then look what happens here. We have a very smooth transition, pretty much all throughout, until we get to here where we have another slightly harder edge, and all the way to here where the edge starts to get a little harder. Everything in the middle, we're gonna have to visualize, and we're gonna have to follow our instincts. There's a lot I'm gonna do that I cannot really put into words here. So you're gonna have to not expect to be spoon-fed with this one. Now let's get to it. So I'm gonna mix a bit of my lemon yellow here. My color is contaminated, so I'm going to do the thing I love doing, which is just digging through the well until it is clean enough. Now look at what I'm gonna do. My number one trick for this, and for that kind of a control to develop it, and actually let me clean up. I'm not gonna be too diligent, but I'm not gonna be as lazy as I usually am. So clean the palette just a bit. There we go. That gives us enough space to work with some pure paint. Now here's where the magic lies. And yes, there is some magic involved here. The magic is whatever you want to stay soft, you just pre-wet it. So grab some water on the brush. And look at what I'm going to do here. I'm going to wet this area around these edges all the way down to here. So in effect, and hopefully you'll be able to see exactly what I pre-wet here. There we go. See, just a small area in the middle, but you have to make sure that it's wet enough. So I may do another quick pass. And everywhere you want a soft edge is where we're gonna essentially pre-wet this. Now look at what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start with some very light lemon yellow. The reason I'm starting relatively light is that I would like, in this instance, to build things up a little slower. So we're going to start with the lightest. And look at what I'm doing. I'm following the shape of the curves I'm seeing. We have this shadow here. Don't worry, we're going to darken things in just a few moments. So we have this nice little shadow here. Goes around, soft edges, soft edges, soft edges, soft edges here as well. And as we get down here, we're going to start having a bit more of a hard edge. This is the focus of the painting process. The rest is going to fall into place on its own accord. Don't worry too much about everything around the fruit, okay? So I'm going to grab a bit of my Turner's yellow, which is essentially a warmer, maybe New Gambogi type of yellow. And I'm just going to paint the same areas pretty much. Maybe a little more, I'll stay a little more in. In this area, I'm just going to work on wet and wet. So You don't have to do it this way. You can just pre-wet some area and then work not wet and wet, but I will. Gonna go a little stronger here with the yellow. And actually, I'm gonna use a mix of both. I'm gonna go a little stronger here. Really want this to feel like a light and shadow. And look at what happens here with that hard edge that we defined earlier. So now what happens is we have great control over the edges of this painting. Some of them are going to be hard edges, some of them are going to be soft. If you feel like an edge has hardened a bit where you didn't want it to, all you have to do is grab a damp brush that is clean, but damp, not too wet, and then just soften it up a bit, like so, okay? And now, I'm going to add a bit of Pyrrole Scarlet to the mix, so that I slowly push it more towards the orange. And I'm going to work my way slowly. What you're actually seeing here is stains on the fruit that are a little brown. Okay, they're not really orange. They're actually more brown than orange, but it doesn't really matter, honestly. I like showing some pure paint, so I love the idea of just coming in with some stronger Pyrrole Scarlet here, and giving it a bit of layering when it comes to the colors. One of the really interesting and attractive things about some paintings is that you do get almost a bit, to me, right? That's the way I like doing things. I almost show people the thing they cannot see, which is the individual colors that make up a certain shape. And I love doing that. Now, one thing you can do is to kind of take a risk and actually let this merge with the background. So just open it up. I'm not going to do it this time. I think my instinct kind of tells me, maybe you want to go for it. You know what? Maybe we will. Before that, so that I have control, I want to introduce a bit of quinacridone rose. And I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. That's how I would paint this if I were all by myself painting this. Gotta grab a bit of purple, just for some of the stronger shadows around the edge. Now, the purple has a bit of blue in it, so now we're starting to neutralize the orange, right? Blue neutralizes the orange. So we'll get another dimension to the painting. That, even though, it's not the most noticeable, it looks more kind of a violety purple muted color, it's noticeable for the people looking. They will notice there's a bit of coolness here. Trust me on this one. Now, let's do something fun. Let's open it up. So I'm gonna mix a bit of a green here, and I'm using the same primary colors that I have. So I'm gonna use a bit of phthalo blue that I almost ran out of, and a bit of that same, I would say, lemon yellow. Yeah, let's do that for now. I will later on maybe do some adjustments to the fruit itself. But I'm going to keep things fairly light here. Now look at what happens if I go over here and start to define a bit of an edge to the fruit. So what happens is we'll start getting a sense of light. And that will help us gauge whether maybe we'll be interested in darkening some of the shadows here, which for now I'm actually fine with. And then let me do this. I'm gonna switch to phthalo and lemon mix, just for this, brighter leaf. Bit more of the lemon. And I'm actually not worried right now about things drying unevenly. That's the kind of a thing that, sometimes it bothers me. Other times, I love the patches. Now look at some of the magic, because we talked about edges, okay? So another component of the magic here is look what happens when we connect. Look at here. I'm touching the wash that was there. Look at what happens. They meet and bleed onto one another. Now you're in control. So you can decide to have some edges touch very mildly or very, gently, and you can leave a few gaps if you want to. But the idea is, as soon as we do that kind of a thing, we're basically opening the thing up and allowing the fruit to expand onto the other shapes. Now, one thing you can do here is just put something, so a little thing here to play around with the angle a bit so it doesn't move down as much, and continue opening this up. Don't be scared of creating a white guy. In fact, don't be scared of anything, really. I know it's a bit of a, don't be scared. I mean, not everyone can control that, but if you can, understand that there is nothing to fear, really, in terms of how shapes merge together, what they look like together. There's nothing to be afraid of. So this is what edges are all about. It's another tool to allow you to better express the things you see. So if you're noticing something very unique about the subject matter, that gives you another option to show it. And to me, when I look at the surface of the fruit, it gives me a lot of inspiration to want to really portray the fuzziness and the sharp cast shadows versus the soft transitions and the round shape. And then if we bring in the idea of shapes and how you merge them together, the fruit and the background and how they work together and how you let the washes merge together, it's just so beautiful. So I hope maybe this helps you in any way possible. And if you want to learn how to paint more freely like this, check out the frustration-free watercolor course. Link is in the description box below. I'm super grateful to everyone who gets it. That's how I pay my bills, and that's how I continue making these videos for you. If you want to support me, I will thank everyone who supports me on Patreon. It means a lot to me. I'm going to post there in the upcoming weeks a exclusive process, very long one, that the type of videos that don't do well on YouTube anyway, so I think it will find its stage there. So if you want to have access to that, be sure to check out the link below and have credit at the end of the video. So thank you so much for that, and I will see you in the next one.